fuck's sake, hello.
Hey.
Smack things. That's how I feel today. You do the intro. You do it. I'm not doing it. Fuck
I don't want
this.
to do the intro.
Go on. Welcome everyone back to this podcast,
podcast.
and tell them that they can follow us on Twitter at tweetsbadly, as well as Kick, and also YouTube if they want to listen to the podcast live. And they could get the video version on YouTube after live, and also on Spotify. Podcast Badly on Spotify.
You can do all that.
Tell them. You tell them. I ain't doing it.
You can also watch our clips on TikTok.
Nice, you did one. Okay, now I feel good. Welcome back to Podcast Badly. This podcast. It's Badly. Coming up in today's podcast, I think it was last week, Judd did something and told us about it. This week, I did something and I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm still tired from it. It was exhausting. It was horrific and also good. But first, bins. You know bins? You ever seen a bin, Judd?
I have seen them.
You ever used one of these bin things where people put their trash in it?
Yeah, no, I've seen them before.
Who takes the bins out in your house?
Just like Nana or Grandad. I don't help around the house. I like to watch them shamble about and suffer.
Yeah, these old elderly people who have cared about you your whole life until you're a fully grown adult.
I'm like, you're gonna do fucking shit.
Do you do any chores?
Yeah, I mean, if ever they ask me to do something, I always do it. They've just never asked me to take the rubbish out before.
This is a thing that I don't think parents get, and especially mums. Like, of course I'm not gonna do anything unless you ask me to, and if you do, of course I'll do it for you. But like, no.
Yeah.
But then mums say stuff like, "Oh, and nothing would get done if I weren't here." But then they'll go away for like 2 weeks and leave you on your own, and they come back and it's just the same. Because of course you do it then, because then you have to do it. But if they'd ask you to do it. But here's another thing that I don't think mums get. This is a tangent compared to what I was actually going to tell you about. They want more housework doing than most people think is necessary. And that's where a problem is, because they think that like certain jobs need doing all the fucking time, and they don't really. But then they want you to do the level of jobs that they think is right. You feel me on this? Was your mum ever like this? Probably not actually your mum specifically, but
no, I mean I don't know. I feel weird. I just feel like we're two 24 and 26-year-old men just complaining about us.
Well, I'm one 26-year-old man. I don't know. You might be two 24-year-old men.
I'm doing a trench coat.
And you're still only that tall?
Yeah, I know.
There's really small men. Just like 5'6". It's not very tall. Oh god, that's funny.
We're both 2'8".
Is that how the math works?
Yeah, that rounds about. We're both
something like that.
We're both 2'5".
I don't think that is how the math checks out.
No,
but there's 12 inches in a foot, so you can't just Anyway, but my mum always used to be like that. I live in my own house now, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. But it's my job to take out the bins every week, and annoyingly, that job falls on a Wednesday, which is when we record this shit, because the bin men pick stuff up on the Thursday morning, so it has to be done on a Wednesday evening. So I always end up scrambling to do it right before we start, and we go live. Around 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, by the way, if you want to know when we go live, either YouTube or Kick. Okay, go and leave us a follow on Kick. It's the new platform on the block. It's not perfect by any means, but it seems to be making some decent moves in the right direction. So just a quick one on those. You can now toggle a setting on your Kick account to block all hot tub and bikini streams, as well as gambling stuff. Any reference to all those across the whole site. Twitch don't do that.
I don't know why you'd want to.
Twitch actually said, "We hear all your feedback, everyone. No more gambling streams." And then guess what's allowed again about 2 months later? Gambling streams have even got their own fucking category for it, so you can make sure you can find as many as you want.
What is up with that? Like addicts or
What do you mean?
Is that it? What's the problem with having gambling streams?
I think they don't want addicts to accidentally see it, but also it's like kids. It's not something to be promoting to kids, is it?
Yeah, but who gives a fuck? Like, at the end of the day, kids are gonna go watch whatever kids can watch on iPads because the mummies and daddies obviously aren't paying attention to what they do on the screen. Like,
yeah, but it's not that
know.
they shouldn't exist. Like, I think freedom of internet, like all sorts of content, should exist, unless it's like illegal to exist. Like, you can't just have like videos of you actually murdering people on the internet. That's actually bad. But the thing is, it's not good to make it like easier, you know, because it's like kind of like almost like publishing it to kids, like trying to get it in front of their eyes, and then that's like a different moral boundary.
I don't know. I feel like the only way they'd be pushing it is if they were like showing it on like the home screen and like sort of heavily promoting gambling YouTubers.
Basically, don't enable kids to see it, but you know, you can't start like putting up hard barriers on sites if it's what people want to watch.
Yeah.
And anyway,
it's not Twitch isn't a platform for children. It's a platform for anyone. You know, kids just use it. So it's like, at the end of the day, as long as you put like
but a space that's for everyone, you shouldn't be having anything
I know
in
kids
it.
are just gonna hit yes on that, but it's whatever.
I think if your account says you're over 18, it should show you gambling and alcohol drinking and stuff if you want it to. And like you said, I know kids are just going to hit that they're over 18 on that, but that's at that point, like, you know, it's out of the platform's hands, I think, at that point. Anyway, it's regardless of that. Basically, the point of the moral of the story is I have to take bins out before the podcast. And I go to empty the bin today, while I'm also cooking some fish fingers, because I was hungry. I was really hungry before starting, so I was just fish finger sandwiches.
And, is that what you asked? No, custard.
Fish fingers and custard. No.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, I'm going to put the fish fingers on. They take 12 minutes. In that time, I'm going to empty the bin, put a new bin bag in, all that sort of thing, wash my hands, and then ready to eat this thing. Take the bin out, and we always pack the bin down, you know, like nobody when it gets to the top of the bin just takes the bin out. You always have to get something and shove it all
the bin and then goes, that's a full bin. That there's always more room in that bin.
Yeah, you got to shove it down. You got to really shove all the trash down in there so you can fit more in and be lazy. So of course we've done that. And I take the bin out, and for some reason there's just a copious amount of bin juice at the bottom of it. Like, just an abnormal amount. I'm thinking, what the fuck? Because I've not put anything weird in here. There's only two people who live in this house. Now, I ain't accusing any of them people. One of them's me. But it wasn't me. And I ain't accusing anyone. All I'm going to say is there was a lot of bin juice in there. That's the only bit that matters. But the thing is, because it was so compact, when I pulled the bag out, I've got like the bin bag, but it's like hovering over the actual bin. And it's like dripping back into the bin. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, well, I can't move because it's like there's so much like juice coming out of it. And I'm not like trailing that through the house and letting it splatter all over the house. So I need to open the side door, and which is just right next to it, basically, and take it outside. And so I'm like stood there with this bag, waiting for my girlfriend to run and get some keys and open the side door, and I'm just stood with this dripping, gross bag.
Yeah. I don't like that.
No, I didn't like that. So I took it out and chucked it immediately in the bin and saw how much bin juice was in there. And not only was the juice in there was a bunch of fat maggots as well.
Yeah, nice.
Oh,
nice.
God. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? This has never happened before.
Are God's greatest creatures.
They were awful, and some of them were like still alive.
Do one of them look up at you and go like that?
No. But there were, I think, there was obviously going to be like whenever you see maggots, there's a lot of them at one go, isn't there? There's never just like 3.
Yeah.
So I think most of them were still in the bag. I think maybe that could have been why there was so much juice in that the maggots have like birthed from the fly eggs in there.
I gotta
They've
say,
eaten
I'm
a bunch
really
of shit in the
sorry for
bag.
this episode, everybody. Even I don't like this fucking episode. So.
Nobody has stumbled across this podcast and just thought, I'll just listen to that one and not know how gross we are. Like I don't think this is episode 189 at this point. We don't enough of this shit.
On our Spotify or whatever we host it on, and they could go, right, I'm gonna give the newest one a quick listen, see what that's like. And immediately we're talking about bin juice and fat, nasty maggots wiggling about.
Well, let me tell you about the maggots then. So I think there must have been a lot more in the bag, and then some of them had like chewed some holes in the bag to get out. And that might be why more liquid than usual came out, maybe. So there was a few in the bottom of the bin that looked dead. I mean, they weren't moving. But one of them, like from me lifting the bag out of the bin, had flopped onto the floor, and that's how I knew they were definitely maggots and not just like some sort of like bits of pasta or something. Because it were like wriggling a bit. So and then of course we've run out of kitchen roll, and I didn't know about it, so I can't just like wipe the floor and things like that. So I have to run upstairs. I have to get some toilet paper. I have to come downstairs and wipe all the floor with that. I get like a big roll of it to pick up the maggot because I didn't want to feel it in any way. You know what I mean? A lot of toilet paper buffer between my fingers and the maggot, and run into outside bin and throw it in there. And I don't know. I just put a lot of soap in the like empty bin and boiled the kettle and like put like boiling water in there and like So I've just left soapy boiling water in there while it's outside. And
soapy boiling water full of maggots.
At this point, I think my girlfriend knows she had some sort of something to do with it because she's like, "I'll sort it. I'll clean it. Don't worry, you don't have to do your normal job that you always do."
Yeah, if this wasn't something to do with her, she'd just be like, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere near that." The fact that she's like, "Oh, it's all right." It's like you're just like, wait a second.
But I was thinking, well, this is my job. I'm gonna do it. But
grab her and shake her violently and go, "What did you do?"
I did say that we've got like this. It's like an old scrubbing brush, but with a long handle that I used to clean the bin. And I said, if you want, you can use that brush and scrub all sides of it. But it needs completely drying before it comes in this bin, because I don't want any, even if it's like clean bin juice now, I want it, because it's all obviously just like soap and hot water now. I don't want any of it. It's going to be completely dry before I put another bin bag in that fucking bin. But it was gross anyway. But I gave my hands, it's one of those things where it's like, it's normally never that satisfying to wash your hands. But on that occasion, it really was. And I pumped like half a fucking bottle of soap on my hands and really scrubbed it. It was one of those jobs. So like my hands, I made sure were fully clean after that. So yeah, that was the bin ordeal. What have you been up to? You been doing anything? Tell me about it.
I ain't done shit. I ain't done jack shit. I've done my one thing for the next 2 months, so I'm not gonna do jack shit for it.
Well, I was hoping you would have done something, because I wanted to give myself an excuse to eat more of this camel chocolate that I'm eating.
No, it's gonna have to be a full-on Jake episode. I don't think I've done. No, I ain't done a damn thing. No.
Have you been wanking much lately?
Oh, I mean, same as usual.
How often is that?
I don't want to talk about myself.
No? Once a day?
No, I mean, I don't want to talk about
Fine! I'll tell you about my camel chocolate then, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get into that topic. No. Camel chocolate. Made with actual camel.
Real camel.
Funny joke. No, it is. But it's made with camel milk.
Now, when you say, are we talking camel milk?
Yeah, made with camel milk. Like actual camel milk. my girlfriend's dad works in Saudi Arabia sometimes. They got camels there.
He does. He's a war criminal.
What the fuck? Where the fuck has that come from? Anyway, you would have met him if you'd have come to Midsummer. So he brought back some chocolate made from, well, it's milk chocolate, but the milk they've used is camel milk. So she doesn't like it because it freaks her out. She tried it, and to be honest, it mostly just tastes like normal milk chocolate. But
I was going to say, it can't be that sort of...
It tastes a little bit weird, but not in a bad way. But it's because, like, rather than sugar to sweeten it, they've used honey. So it's just like a different kind of sweet in it, and
yeah,
it's not that different, but I don't mind it. It's like just as good as normal chocolate, but slightly different, and I think that's what could put people off because it tastes kind of wrong compared to what they used to. But
yeah.
It's nothing fancy. I kind of thought I might do like a little taste test video on it, but I wanted to gobble it before I could be asked. Yeah, camel chocolate. It's pretty good. I like it.
I keep thinking you're going to say camel toe.
Yeah, camel toe. You ever
Camel
eaten a camel toe, Jin?
Yeah, I've eaten one of them before. I've eaten one or two of them before.
Hey, fucking lads. We are on kick nowadays, so we do have to be misogynists, apparently.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
When
you're born, you're handed this contract, and it says you have to be racist, you have to be misogynist.
Yeah, when you sign up, that's part of the terms on Kick.
Yeah.
Have you seen Rumble, by the way? That's kind of becoming a competitor for YouTube. It's what I think it's what Andrew Tate's on, but I Show Speed and Kai Cenat also have a show on there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can stream to Rumble too. I'm not interested in doing that yet. I mean, Russell Brand, right? You know Russell Brand.
Okay. I do.
He's on Rumble.
A name I expected to hear in this conversation.
Yeah, but he's on Rumble. You know, there's YouTube. There's fucking, and I think it's videos he's uploading. I think it seems to me. It looks like a platform that's kind of hybrid YouTube and Twitch. It's kind of like it's pushing a lot of live stuff, but it's also like a video publishing platform. If that makes sense. Yeah. It looks decent anyway. So Russell Brand's on there, and I was thinking, well, you know, it's a lesser known platform. It can't get many views. Can't be that much of an audience there. Oh my god, fucking Rumble, stop it! I tried to click on one video to see to use some data to tell you about, and it's playing an unskippable ad that you can't even fucking mute.
Great.
It's playing it again. It's just playing the same one twice in a row. It's but look, my point is Russell Brand, 1.24 million followers on Rumble, something you never fucking heard of. And on this random video, where he's talking about, it's basically a video podcast talking about censorship and power. Stay free with Russell Brand. That's like the title. 306,000 views. So it's not. It's obviously. I mean, YouTube seems like a bigger platform for certain, but it's genuinely not that. It's not a small platform. No, it's weird, and it's just come out of nowhere. Yeah. And I genuinely think it's because they don't give a fuck. They'll let any controversial character be on their platform, and I find that very interesting, and I kind of find that admirable to a certain extent. I just think because there's a category for podcasts specifically and everything. I don't know. It's interesting. So we're going to monitor Rumble as well. I was wondering whether it'd be worth putting our videos that we put on YouTube onto Rumble as well, but we'll see. We'll see. Currently, because of the size of us, kind of a shotgun approach, a scattergun approach, seems like the best thing to do. Just slap as much stuff as we've got everywhere, and then some eyeballs might go on it, and they might follow us. But I don't know. Rumble. Just thought I'd mention that. Anyway, getting into the meat of the podcast. What the fuck have I been doing? 20 minutes and we're finally getting to this shit. Let me just take another bite of camel chocolate. I'll do it like ASMR style.
I don't know who that is. I'm sure everybody who's listening to the audio version of this is loving this.
Yeah. Could you hear it?
No.
Oh, good. It's because Judd's broken his headphones. So okay, he's kind of got them around his neck to kind of fuck. I did a thing called Total Warrior. It's kind of like Tough Mudder.
Oh, you've done it. You've done it. Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah. It's a 12k run in like through fields and trees and stuff like that. But there's how many obstacles? 26 obstacles along the way.
Nice.
So I'm just going to kind of run through all the obstacles. If you watch the video version of this, you might kind of get some video demonstrations of this and kind of tell you about all of them and what it was. So we set off at like 20 past 11. The first obstacle is called Leg It. What was this? So this was so we oh my god, the screens are all messed up on the video version. One sec. Sorry. Bear with me.
This
so
podcast sucks.
fuck you. So as soon as we started, we were kind of like hanging back at the start line of this obstacle course because we didn't want to we didn't want to be with all the fast people, basically, because we were going to be running it really slow. And we figured that all the fast people are going to be at the start. And so we had to do like a bit of a run first. I would say maybe half a kilometer to get to the first obstacle, which was called Leg It. And it was basically this really steep bank. And I was thinking, oh, we're going to have to run up this steep bank as one of the obstacles when I was looking at them before doing it. No, you had to run up it, and then down it, and then up it, and then down it. Jesus. And it was like, oh, fuck, I didn't think it was going to be like this to start with. I was so glad that this one was right at the start, because it was one of the most, like, physically intense ones. Because some of them are, like, not particularly physically hard, but, like, kind of a mental barrier, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
So that's what this one was. I'm just going to share my screen with
Do it.
with Judd. Actually, I'm just going to link Judd to the obstacles so you can be looking at those in your own time, Judd.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the last one, so obviously you were going up and down this steep bank. The last one, you had to like crawl under a net rather than running up it. So that was quite physically intense. And then the next obstacle immediately after that. So that's technically two obstacles. So Leg It was the hills, and then crawling under the like thing up there was another one. So the third obstacle, which was like, it was like, I don't know, 50 meters ahead of that, was a plunge pool. Where's that plunge pool? Let me find a plunge pool. I don't think the plunge pool's on. I don't think there's video footage of the plunge pool.
I'm not seeing one.
There was two. There was like two big, like, it's called the plunge. There's two kind of big tanks of ice, and two people could stand side by side in it. And there was like a barrier, like what's it called? What do they call them on that running thing that they do? But they jump over, so hurdles. There was kind of like a hurdle, but it was at head height. And you couldn't wade through the water without ducking your head all the way under and going under this hurdle. But as we were approaching it, we could see the marshals like dumping bags and bags of ice into these fucking pools. So there was no chance it was going to be warm in any way.
Evil grin on his
it was absolutely freezing, and I got in this and thought, and this is one of the ones that I didn't think I'd struggle with much, because it's kind of, again, this is more of a mental barrier type thing, and I've done plunge pools before, and they're fucking cold. But
I've just had ice baths before, like,
yeah, so it's something that I'm kind of used to. But if I'm being honest, because you had to duck your head under quick to get under this barrier thing, it was genuinely shocking. Like, even as someone who's really not susceptible to these things, I was like when I put my head up after it, I was like, oh, fuck. So, Jasmine was like, fucking freaking out. So it sent her, she would, like, it proper got her. Afterwards, she was like, so, but she was all right. She smashed it. She did a really good job.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because you get out of something like that feels like a bit of an ordeal, and then it's like, keep running then. It's a run, remember?
Yeah. It's all back to back. You don't have a sit down and a cup of tea between them.
No. So and obviously at this point we realised, oh fuck, this is not going to be anywhere close to a normal kind of.
This was never going to be an enjoyable situation.
But no, it's more that there's tiny things we didn't think about because, like, when we were practicing running, we'd just be running and that was it. But after this plunge, which was pretty close to the start of it, we were sopping wet, so all our clothes and shoes especially were way heavier. So that made it harder, but obviously you dried as you went along. So yeah, that was a weird, difficult one. But after the plunge pool, a few of us were like, wow, I'm almost like invigorated. I've almost got like some adrenaline to go on. And I actually genuinely quite enjoyed the plunge one. It wasn't too bad. And so
sorry, I was just going to quickly say, I'm looking at two of these things that you had to do. One of them, I can't believe they got away with calling it that for law, like copyright and law reasons, and also, wow, they got away with calling it that. And then another one just looks like actual human torture.
They were all human torture, don't get me wrong.
But one of them just looks like a big cool slide.
Yeah, well, one of them is. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm just opening up, by the way, the pictures, and I'm gonna start downloading some pictures because I meant to do that before this because there's a series of pictures I can send to Judd to show him everything.
Okay. Series of unfortunate events.
Do you think you would ever do something like this?
No, what the fuck?
So far, you're already put off.
Yeah, I'm already out. Like, you were like, we're gonna dunk you into a huge freezing cold thing of water. Well, no, first of all, you were like, we're gonna make you run, and I was like, oh, hold on, no.
There is some of these, now I'm looking at these pictures, there's some of these that look absolutely fucking brutal. Like, in the pictures themselves, they look ridiculous. I'm gonna go through the pictures that I sent to Judd as well, don't worry. One sec, I'm still going. Wait, I'll go to the next course. Sorry, we do this live. I'm very sorry. So after the plunge, we had quite. This is kind of how they were structured. Normally, there'd be a bunch kind of together. There might be like a few obstacles kind of close to each other, and then there'd be a bit of a stretch of running. So there was maybe like a 1.5 kilometer run at that point, and then we got to the fourth obstacle, which was called Grand National. And this... What was this? What was the Grand National one?
I don't know. Why the fuck are you asking me?
This one is like some tyres to jump over? I'm almost... Oh, no. For some reason on the website, it shows jumping over some tyres. For us, it wasn't that. It was a wall. It was. There was multiple walls on this. This course.
I can't believe they're allowed to call it this because on the website it's called Trump's Wall.
No, that was later. There was 3 walls. Oh, okay. So Grand National was a wall. Because I think it was supposed to be jumping over larger and larger hurdles like horses do. I think it's to do with that. But for some reason on ours, it didn't have the smaller tyres jump over. It just had this massive fucking wall. And it was really big. It was like 8 or 9 feet tall. It was really high. This was an easier one for me, and it was more of a physical one, but it wasn't too bad because there was kind of a couple planks jutting out the wall, so you could kind of get a leg up and grab the top of it. So I could kind of just get a leg up, grab the top of it, and then push my way over. But then
I remember when Donald Trump said, "We will build a great and beautiful wall, and the Streams Badly podcast will not be allowed in this country. They won't. It's true."
I heard him say it. I
Hillary
remember.
listens to Streams Badly. I listen to Tyler One. It's true.
Okay.
Like
Yeah. So we had to get over those walls. The girls then had to get over. And they kind of there was Jasmine, my girlfriend, and then my friend Dan and my friend Lizzie, who were engaged. And so Jasmine would go next because she's small, and Lizzie would like shove her ass up over this wall, and then I would catch her on the other side, and then Dan would shove Lizzie's ass over the wall, and she was tall enough to drop over the other side herself. So
Dan would just shove you over into the mud.
No, and then Dan did the same thing as me and just kind of like jumped over. So that was the next one. But then there was another kind of probably nearly 1.5 kilometers run. And then there was a few obstacles in succession. So the first thing is called Cement Mixer. Okay. The order of these is just straight up wrong. The order of these on this map, by the way, that they sent us is just wrong because it wasn't Cement Mixer next. It was Human Barbecue.
Yeah, this is the one that looks like actual human torture.
Yeah, you have to jump over a fire, but so the fire is like on your level, and you have to jump over it. But the other side of the fire, there's like a drop, and you fall into like a lake kind of thing. I guess it's not a lake; it's like a massive puddle, basically. You fall into. I'm just double checking all these pictures because I need to send. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna send them into Judd now because there's some good pictures for the video version that I want to show you to do with this one. Okay. Let me slap a Rooney these on. Hopefully this doesn't mess with the stream. So hopefully this doesn't mess with the stream badly. Get it? That's the channel. I know that this is a bit of a shambles right now, but bear with me. I'm very sorry.
It's so much of a shambles. I'm actually going to very quickly run for a piss in the middle of it, Jake.
But yeah, so we were doing the human barbecue, and we decided we were all allowed to jump in together. So it were quite big, and it were quite a big fire. So we all kind of like stood next to each other and ran and jumped over this human barbecue, and it was a big plunge into the bottom.
I'm back at speed pissed.
Oh, Judd speed piss. Holy fuck, that was a quick piss. I mean, I'm pretty good at a speed piss, but that was impressive.
It came out of my dick with such force that it whistled.
Did it go? Did it sound like that? Was it like a pressure washer?
Yeah, it went.
Anyway, you can see the pictures now, Judd. So you can see the picture of me in the plunge pool. I
was looking at the one of you and Dan.
Start at the bottom of it. So there's one of me in the plunge pool, and then I was just seeing how the human barbecue with the
he's like rising out of this plunge pool, and he's obviously very cold, so he's making like a shocked expression because he's so cold. But you'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. But the soy jack meme of like the guy like reaching up and putting both of his hands like on top of his head doing the big like O-shaped shot face. It's that exact thing.
It makes my teeth look awful. But for the one where we had to jump over the fire and then jump into this like big pool, it was full of like muddy water. Yeah. So we had to really make sure we held his nose and held his mouth, because you really don't want to get any of that shit in your body, basically.
Yeah.
We didn't really succeed massively because it's almost impossible. Other thing at this point that I'll mention is there's a lot more jumping in gross water and all sorts of stuff in this. Hard to avoid it getting in your cock, apparently. because
Oh,
my
was it
cock's been
just all up in there?
slightly sore after all of this. Just a little bit. Like, it's fine,
Oh,
but just a tiny bit sore. And I almost wish I'd worn a
not his
condom.
cock,
That's how
not his
ridiculous it is.
cock.
So the next thing then was the cement mixer. It's called, and this is basically as soon as you got out of the pool that you jumped into. So you jump over the fire into the pool, and as soon as you get out of that, there's like these kind of hills, like muddy, like small muddy kind of. You know, like sometimes out in the forest or something, you'll see like a mound that's obviously for like dirt bikes to jump off.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but kind of still muddy. There was those, and there was like 7 or so of these. And after each one, there was just like a shit ton of mud to wade through, and it got more and more thick after each hill. So it was just wading through shitloads, loads of it, and it was so slippy. It was ridiculous, and we got super muddy in that one, and that was the point where we like rubbed the mud on his face to like make war paint and stuff like that. And it was that one was like that potentially took the most energy out of me. All of that mud, it was so hard to get through. And it says number 7 is Mud Moguls. Let me see if there's any video for that. Yeah, so it's the same thing. It's a bit confusing as to which is which. But yeah, Mud Moguls and the Cement Mixer are the same thing, really. So it was just a bunch of mud. So next is, so after that we had to do another little run for a bit, for maybe another kilometre or so. Then it says number 8. Hangover. What was this? Oh god, this was physically the hardest one. There's no chance I would have been able to do this on my own. And you can see that on the obstacles page, Judd. It's like an inverted wall. So the same size wall we had to get over before, like 8 or 9 feet, but it was like leaning towards you a bit. Which made the angle to climb over it really hard, and rather than having like steps on it, it had like rock climbing handholds. Yeah. So we helped the ladies over this first because I couldn't catch people on the way down because it was like a slope on the other side. So because of the angle of the wall, so they could just kind of slide down themselves. So it didn't make sense for me to go first on this one. So we kind of chucked the ladies over by like pushing them. And then me and Dan were going to just try and climb over it because we climbed over the other one. We took like a half-assed attempt, and I just looked at it and went, there's no fucking way we're ever going to be able to do that. There's not a chance that we can climb over this wall. This is 2 like fairly portly fellas. He's a little less fat than me at this point, but like even he was like, no chance in hell am I going to be able to climb over that. He's even done some rock climbing as a hobby before. And is used to it. It weren't going to happen. So the ladies had to come back around the walls and kind of like help with shoving me over first. Like all 3 of them helped shoving me over, and then I came back around the wall and helped shove Dan over. But we did it. We did still do it.
I know it's part of the course and everything, and like the whole thing is to do it, but there's something really funny about the image of you helping these 2 girls over this wall, and then them walking back around the wall that you just helped them over, and then pushing you over the same
just
wall,
walk around,
and then walking back.
I was slightly worried, but not too much, because then I was thinking we're gonna have to skip this one, and then it's like you've not properly done it then. But we obviously we didn't have to skip it, which is good. So there was that one. Then there was another. There was a fairly decent sized run at this point. It might have been about 2K nearly, something like that. Number 9 was Bonnie Banks. Do we have any video for Bonnie Banks? No, I don't remember what Bonnie Banks was. Bonnie Banks. What was this? I'm not sure. I can't remember that. I think it was some of the obstacles were like they were called an obstacle, but it like just wasn't basically. So I think it might have been the like course was kind of like sloped, but like it's hard to explain. I don't think that basically I don't think that was an obstacle. Even though it was named one. Next, number 10. That's why there's no video of it, because it's like, it's nothing. It's just like the course, you know? Number 10, back it up. Don't know why it was called back it up. You basically had to like walk into this river, into this lake, sorry, which was quite welcome at that point because we were like caked in mud that was drying and it felt horrid. So we kind of just wanted to wash it off. So you had to walk into this lake, and it came to like just above my knees. And I'm 5'11", so you can get an idea of how deep it was. Obviously, mud at the bottom of the lake. The mud. No, and then there was another one of those nets that you have to kind of crawl under. You know, like the army style nets.
Yeah, I know the army nets.
But it started in the water, so you kind of have to like get yourself under it in the water and then crawl up the bank. That was kind of that was a chill one. I didn't mind that one. And then after that, again, remember, after each of these obstacles, you have to run. It's a running race still. And I, on multiple occasions, we'd finish an obstacle and I'd go, oh yeah, running, like out loud. Like, oh, we have to run now. I will say at this point, to do with the running, it was probably easier physically to do this than just to run 12k, if I'm being honest. Because although they said there wouldn't be, and they tried to do like staggered start times and stuff like that to mitigate this, there was queues at every obstacle. You had to kind of wait for some people to get over it, and it gave you a nice little rest before each thing. What's next? 11 is Slideway, and this was just a big slide, basically.
Yeah, this one looks good. I'd do this bit. Can I just do this bit?
Well, you say that. I think this was the bit that got too much water in my cock. Because Lizzie said that Dan and Lizzie ended up, like, because of the queues, they went first, and then me and Jasmine went after.
Did Lizzie get it in her cock?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't have a cock, and neither does my girlfriend, but there was something to do with mud to do with that I'm not going to say. But
oh, no.
But we went down this slide, and they went first, and they shouted up to us, or they mimed to us, hold your nose, because she got like a bunch of muddy water shoot up into her brain, Lizzie, basically. And so I was like, right, okay, I'm going to really cling onto my nose.
Brain.
And I did. I really clinged onto my nose. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see me doing it right now. And it didn't matter, because you were going so fast on this slide. By the time you hit the water, it just pummeled my hand away from my nose and shot a bunch into my brain. So it just didn't matter, really, about holding my nose.
You've got that mud brain.
Yeah, I got mud brain. And later on, like, as we dried off from all the mud and things, like, as all the mud on us had dried, I could feel like a ring of mud crust in my nose. It was really gross.
What's that?
So that was a fun one, though, you know, just going down a slide and splooshing in some water. Number 12, it says is high jump. What was this? One right now.
I'm looking at you with your 5 chins on.
Yeah, I have got so many chins on that one. Yeah, it's you basically have to jump off this big platform and try and whack a coconut. If I'm being honest, you can see on the picture Dan and Lizzie trying to hit it. Jasmine stuck her hand out pretending like she was going to try and hit it. She wasn't. She just jumped into the water.
Blame her. I don't think... Did anybody ever hit one of those?
Yeah, some particularly fit people did. You can see like a kind of fit dude behind us that I would imagine might have hit it. If I'd have really gone for it, I potentially could have got it, and if I wasn't as heavy, that maybe could have got it. But as I was about to jump,
these things,
Oh, go on.
I'm looking at some of these things that they had you doing, and like I wouldn't do it because I never want to do something like this. But I genuinely think that physically I couldn't do most of them.
Well, yeah, I had to do a bunch of training to get fit enough. But as I was about to jump off of this one,
I'm just so small. Like it's like that wall that you and Dan were looking at. Like how the fuck? Like how would I
same
even
size
do
as Jasmine? You'd shove your arms over. You'd manage. I'm sure you'd manage. The main thing for you is you'd have to stop smoking. You have to get your lungs better.
Jesus, right? Yeah, this isn't it.
So, as I was running to jump off this thing, you can see in the picture I've even got up right now, I looked to, because for some reason I'd not looked how high the actual jump, like the fall was.
Yeah.
To get into this water. And I was like, oh shit, like that's like quite high. I'm not going to try and hit this thing. I'm just going to like focus on jumping into this water and not getting all the mud water in my brain this time. So I didn't fucking reach for the thing either. I just did not want to do that. So that's that one. What next did we have? Jailbreak, there was a little bit of a run first after that one. After that one, I felt quite tired. And obviously 12 obstacles, that's like, you're getting close to halfway obstacle-wise, but we'd run over half of the course because there was more obstacles in the back half of the course than the front half. So we were over halfway at this point, and that one had taken the breath out of me because it was like 2 cold water things in a row. 13, Jailbreak. This looks like actual fucking torture, and this was more like Trump's type of thing. Oh wait, no, this is not the one I was thinking of. So this one was so pleasant. I loved this one. Basically,
you loved the one called Jailbreak.
Yeah, it was really nice because there was these kind of like wide trenches dug, like kind of like 6 feet wide, like maybe 7 feet wide. So 2 people could get in this water, and it was deep enough to kind of like, you know, when you kind of like lay on water and you're floating. It was deep enough to do that, but you'd be like underneath these kind of planks, and they were spaced out. You could see quite clearly above the planks. So you just kind of like floated on this water and like used the planks to kind of push you along. And on this one, I was like, I am taking my time here. This is nice. Because it was like cleaning me off with the water, and it was like nice and cool and refreshing, and just kind of like, I didn't have to do anything because I was just kind of floating along under this thing. So that one was pretty good. What was next? We had quite a run then. The next bit was one of the longest stretches of running. And then we get to number 14, which was called Sprint King. I don't think there's any like video clips of that one. I don't remember what that was. Sprint King. Yeah, I don't. There's some, again, that's probably an obstacle that I just didn't even realize was an obstacle. Number 15, though, the Shocker. And
Shocker.
Depending on what your brain's like, you might think of that as a villain from Marvel Comics or a way of fingering someone. Anyway, it's basically a bunch of like these like wires dangling down that are supposed to shock you when you run through them.
That's not safe. That's not near bodies of water.
No, you've had them like things where you put your hand on and it's like going do 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 or whatever, and it shocks you. Or
I have, but not like in or near bodies of water.
No, this was in the middle of a field. You have to remember, we're running kilometers away from each obstacle. We were like multiple kilometers away from any water. Yeah, it's supposed to shock you. That's good then. It'll shock you more easily. Listen, I think it's all a load of bollocks. I think there was fuck all there. I think it was just a bunch of dangling wires. It didn't shock me at all. I don't think they were turned on at all. I think it's a load of shit.
That makes a lot. That makes a lot more sense.
So next we had to what were we on to? Number 16. Yeah, we had to kind of run down this hill. Number 16. Now, this is where we come to my heart's literally just gone a bit thinking about this. This is the worst obstacle by a long way. And this is, I mentioned this on the podcast when I said we were doing it, when I was going to be doing it. It's called YouTube, which we stream on and make videos on. Streams badly on YouTube. It was called YouTube. And it's just, it's just some fucking pipes in the floor full of water and mud and shit that you have to crawl through. And in the kind of footage on the website, it's all like small girls crawling through these fucking tubes. And I'm thinking, I ain't no small girl. I'm a portly fellow. I'm quite large. There's no way I'm gonna fit in this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And we got to it, and I started fucking panicking. I got there, and I really didn't big it up in my head. I was really trying not to big it up in my head. So I got to the actual tube and I was about to go in. I was like, nah! And I just couldn't like mentally get in. I couldn't do it. I was fucking like absolutely frozen. And meanwhile, like the other three just kind of went through, and they got to the other side, and I'm kind of panicking on the other side, like, oh fuck!
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? So Jasmine came back to be like, it's okay, and she was saying a bunch of stuff and trying to like encourage me and kind of like reassure me or whatever. If I'm being honest, it wasn't helping massively. And then another wave of people came behind us, and I was like still freaking out. And eventually, I don't know what it was. I just kind of went, right, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And at that point, I just like crawled in, and like I was like a slug in this tube because I couldn't crawl. There weren't enough room for me to crawl. I had to kind of like scooch my arms along and drag my legs like Joe on Family Guy when he's like out of his wheelchair. And in this tube, I was I thought because it was like covered in dirt and things like that, no one would be able to hear me. So I was like a third of the way, nearly halfway through the tube, and I was like, fuck this tube, I hate this tube, I'm making this tube my bitch, and fuck you. I was like, I fucking hate this tube, goddamn tube. And I was like,
I forgot that you're in a giant tube, which is literally the perfect echo chamber.
Yeah. So everyone outside could hear me like more loud than I was actually saying it, and I didn't realize because I was busy cursing out the tube. But everyone was laughing, and especially the lady next to me in the tube next to me was like really. And like if you look at the tubes, if you look at them,
situation right next to you.
If you look at the tubes, there's like maybe 4 centimeters of plastic tube, like the difference between where me and this woman was. So of course she could hear me. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah.
But I got out and she was laughing loads, and the pictures of me getting out of this tube, you can see the anguish on my face. You can see the trauma. I absolutely hated it. I stood up and I was like, oh. The whole time we were doing the course, we were trying to keep an eye out for photographers, because they have photographers, event photographers, and we were trying to keep an eye out for them so we could pose for them and make sure his pictures were nice. And everyone else, like, I'll try and find a picture of what Dan looked like after he went through the tube, for example, to show on the video version of the podcast. I got one. Dan like spotted this photographer and he was like, yeah, after the tube, and he got a good picture of him. Whereas me, I was just like, I hated it. It was awful. But the main thing that got me through it was thinking, what would I say to my sister in this scenario? My little sister. What do I always tell her? I say that it's fine to be scared about things, and it's fine to like for something to hurt you, like even physical pain, but it's not fine to let that stop you doing something. So I didn't let it stop me anyway. I got through it, so that was good. So I was very pleased with that. Actually, that was the worst one for me though. Like, I absolutely hated it. Do you think you'd have had a similar reaction to me on that, or do you not find stuff like that as bad?
No, like, actually, stuff like that doesn't affect me. If there was going to be anything to do with heights, no, I'm not not doing it.
Well, the highest thing was the highest thing was a last obstacle. Actually, the high jump was the next highest. But Lizzie's also scared of heights, so
yeah.
But she did better than me at coping with it, if anything. So Yeah, I think it's made me discover that I'm like, in a way, I'm kind of claustrophobic, but not like. It depends. It depends, because I think it's more just a fear of being like in a confined space underground specifically. Because if I'm in a tight space, like in a building, I don't mind it anywhere near as much, but thinking about it, I probably still wouldn't like it. I think I'm kind of claustrophobic, basically. Anyway, so that was YouTube. 17 was next. That was Worm Muncher. What the
Worm
fuck?
Muncher.
Worm Muncher? What's that? I did it and I don't even know what it was. Worm Muncher? What the fuck? Worm Muncher. Let me wait. What's the next one after that? Mud Bomb. Okay, so Worm Muncher. I think what this was. Oh, I know why it's called Worm Muncher. Right. So this is the next picture that I've sent to you, Judd, of Jasmine doing it. This is called Worm Muncher because your face is close to a bunch of mud, basically. It was just barbed wire to crawl under. They were just straight up actual barbed wire,
Nice.
and you had to crawl underneath it. Do you know what? The worst bit about this weren't even the barbed wire. It was the fucking floor. There were so many, like, solid rocks, and you're crawling on your hands and knees, so your knees are bashing into these rocks. This was definitely the most painful, and all of us have like bruises and cuts all over his knees from this. This was awful, and there's a picture of Jasmine on this one, like looking up, like, huh? Why am I doing this? Like, this is for real? She's crawling, and she had the easiest time of this because she was the smallest. So she had an easier time of this. Me and Dan are behind her, like like two fat lads, like almost touching it, laying down. So that one was rough, actually. That one wasn't a great one. So that was Worm Muncher. Next was Mud Bomb. I think this was just like a really muddy part of the trail, basically. Number 19 is trenches. Unless that's what I was talking about, trenches. I can't see trenches. I can't remember them all. I'm sorry. Next would be swing or swim. This one, I believe. Let me see if there's any footage of it. No. I think there's only footage of the ones that were on the 6K course because there's less obstacles on that. So swing or swim. I think this was one where you had to like. It was almost like monkey bars, but you had to like grab one pipe. So the pipe was following the same direction you were moving, and you had to kind of like swing along this pipe and try and ring a bell at the end of this thing, and then you fell into like a pool of water. And then you had to like climb this wall out of it. That was kind of it was kind of sorry, it was angled, kind of like the other wall that I was talking about, but in the other way. So it's a bit easier to get over. So there was that one, and that was called waterfall because there was like a waterfall falling on you while you did it. Anyway,
well, that's nice after the crawl through barbed wire.
Next was Trump's Walls. Finally got there, which for some reason on the map version is called Warriors Walls, because maybe they got copyright sued, although it's still on the website called Trump's Walls. This was just the same as the first wall that we had to do, so we just did it the same. What we got next? After that, bear in mind, I'm going to remind you again, that running, by the way, between all of these, so between like the waterfall one that I mentioned and the walls one that I just mentioned, that was probably another like good kilometer or two. So more running between all of these. So then we had Log It, which I suppose kind of it's to do with logs. Get it? Log It. And this one was you had to carry logs up this steep hill. It was It was harder than expected. At this point, for some reason, I knew we were kind of getting towards the end, and I was getting a little bit cocky here. And you could just take one log, and the logs were varying sizes. You had to take them up this hill and down. Or if you were extra fit, you could take two, and I decided to take two. So I picked one up myself, and it weren't that heavy. It was kind of a medium-sized one. And then I kind of went, I think I might take two. But the lady who was handing the logs out, so you could either pick it up yourself or they'd hand it to you to speed it along. The lady who was handing them out heard me say that and went, all right, then take this one. And then gave me the biggest log they had because I think she heard me. I think she thought I was being too cocky and she wanted to put me down a peg. So she gave me like the biggest log they had. So I did that though. It was okay. Carried the logs up the hill and down the hill. What's next? The Alps. I think this was just a fucking... Yeah, this was just a steep hill. It was just straight up a steep hill. It was quite steep, but it wasn't anything difficult. At this point, we've done 11 kilometers. There's only 1 kilometer left. And then there's 2 obstacles within it. The next one is Hang Tough. So this is just some monkey bars. That you had to swingers try and get along all the way, but the last few things of the monkey bars are kind of like hanging ropes rather than hanging bars. And below you, there's water for you to fall into when you inevitably can't do it because your hands are ridiculously slippy from all the mud and water and everything like that. So that was good. I was not particularly great with the upper body strength stuff of this, though, and I really don't think I've got enough testosterone. Because I really can't grow a beard well. Like, compared to the rest of my I've got strong legs, but I've not got good upper body strength. I think I need more testosterone, so I'm going to stop wanking. I'm going to see if that makes a difference. I genuinely am. That's not even just a joke. I'm genuinely going to do an anti-wanking experiment, see if it helps. I'm going to have to do it for
that can't, because I'm doing it. I'm doing it all the time. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, but maybe you're a weak baby arms as well. But I'm doing it right now. I'm going to see. At least 6 months. It's going to have to. Like, it's going to take a long while to see if that changed. Anyway, that's a side note. And then the last thing was called Peaks of Pain. And this was like quite a high wall where there was 2 kind of slats at the bottom that were hard to get your foot on, but it gave you kind of a bit of a leg up on this wall. And this was a really tall wall. This would have been like 14 feet high. And then you had to grab a rope that was like halfway up the wall and like pull yourself up it, kind of like abseiling, but in the other way, like over this wall. Lizzie found this one terrifying, but to be honest, at this point, I was kind of like, we're so close to the end. I'm so excited to do this obstacle because I'm just like, it's the last obstacle. And there's a really good picture of me like going and like pulling my way up this wall. Yeah, I like that one. And then after that, there was just like, I don't know, I would say maybe 200 meters away from the finish line this was. So we all ended up holding hands and crossing the finish line together. And we did it. It was a jolly old time. And they gave us a free t-shirt and a free beer. And it was fun. They gave us a free protein shake as well, but more importantly, they gave us a free beer. And after all of that, it looks like I'm growing a bit of a goatee in a lot of these pictures towards the end. I'm not. I was freshly shaven. It was just mud. It was just mud in the shape of a goatee. So, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed. As I predicted, as we were about to like getting close to doing it, I was thinking. I'm excited to have done this. Like, I'm not excited particularly for the process in any way. I'm excited for the end, for when it's over. And the main reason for that is because I don't have to do any of the training anymore for it. I fucking hate running. Like, I hate it. I don't know how they convinced us to do this shit. Because I really don't like running. It's my least favourite exercise by a long way. It's so boring, and it feels awful, and it's not good on my knees, and I just don't like it. There's certain types of exercise I really don't mind. Boxing especially, I enjoyed loads, which is really like cardio intensive and gets you really fit. So I don't have to do running at all. But for some reason, I just had to do, obviously I had to do a shitload of running to practice for this.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I was so excited to not have to run like every other day. Because it takes ages as well. Because I had to run further and further in preparation to run 12K. The idea was I'd run 8K. I'd make sure I could run 8 kilometers. But I weren't ever going to run 12K before doing this. Because it's not worth it, really. I can always like just tack on another. It made sense anyway. But so we when you're running as far as 8K, it was taking like a good hour, you know. It was taking a long while to do these runs, and it's just boring. And you know what? I got not when we were doing the actual course, because it was with friends and there was interesting obstacle courses to kind of help with all of this. But when I would run practice-wise, I'd run kind of 2 or 3 kilometers, and then I'd kind of walk for a minute or two. And then I might run another, like, 1.5, 2 kilometers and walk for a minute or two. And that's how I'd do my training until I got to the amount of distance I was trying to run. But after that first 2 or 3, I'd set off running again, and my heart would be beating, like, faster than it should do, and I could feel, like, anxiety coming on. And it's because that 2 or 3 kilometers of running felt like a good whack of running. And when you're running 8K, it's not really even close to the total amount. And when you're aware of both those things, it's like, oh, fucking hell, I've just done all of that and I'm not even close to being done. And it had set my anxiety off. And it's just, I just don't like it. What's the most running have you done much running at all? Or like, whenever you've done exercise, what have you done?
I have, actually. That used to be like my main... What I'd mainly do when I'd work out is I'd just go running. I've been running like just like around, just like outside before.
Yeah.
I've been running in gyms, been running in like even back in high school whenever we used to have the option to either do something in the halls or go in the gym, I'd always go in the gym and just like get on a treadmill for like an hour and just run. So
I see the use of cardio for sure. Like if you go to the gym to do your exercise, running, I would recommend it. Like what I used to do when I was doing my boxing training, I would, on boxing training days, I'd do the fitness at the boxing gym. Like I'd do boxing and whatever fitness they gave me. But on the days I wasn't in the boxing gym, I'd go to the gym. And I'd lift some weights, but I'd do plenty of cardio as well for the boxing training. But I'd always mix it up. I'd always do 10 minutes running, like this was at the start, 10 minutes running, but I'd not do normal running. I'd do 3 minutes jogging, 1 minute sprinting, 1 minute walking. And I'd do that twice, so that'd add up to 10 minutes. Because it'd mix it up. It'd make it more interesting. And then I'd get off that, have a small breather, 30 seconds or so, and then I'd get on the bike. So I'd do cycling instead, so that was something else for 5 or 10 minutes. And then after that, I'd get on the elliptical after that. So it were like, again, something bit different. Because otherwise it's just so boring. It's so repetitive and boring, especially on a treadmill. Especially when you're not seeing different scenery and things like that. So I that's how I mixed it up at the gym anyway, but that's what I'd recommend if you only go into the gym, and you do, obviously, getting some cardio in is definitely beneficial, but that's how I'd recommend doing it just at the gym anyway. When you say you've like just been running about and things like that, how do you normally do it? Do you measure it in amount of time like that you've been running, or your distance?
Or what? No, I usually just run. I just run for as long as I want to run. Like
You don't measure distance or time or anything like that?
No, I just run. I just run until I go, okay, I'm bored now. I want to go home and play games.
So like 20 seconds or...
Yeah.
Maybe 30 if you're lucky.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
It'd be interesting.
30 seconds, then I go, what the fuck am I doing?
It'd be interesting to do a run with you. To see, just to see. Far. Like, we could do a 5K. Because 5K is fairly easy for me now. Because I've done 12K and regularly done like 7 or 8. We could do a 5K, and it'd be very interesting to see how you cope with that. I've definitely noticed it's a lot easier to run very steadily, but with someone else. So run at a pace where you can still chat, and do it with someone else. That's way easier than when I run on my own and just listen to a music or a podcast. I've definitely found that. I've found that although it can like G me up a lot and get me kind of going music, it's worse because I'm a lot more aware of. I can estimate how like the amount of time I've been running for a lot more accurately because I know that songs are thereabouts 3 minutes, like maybe just over. So if I've listened to 3 songs, I know I've been going for like I'm nearly at 10 minutes, and that's not a good thing for me. I don't want to be aware of how much time I've been running. I don't really, to a certain extent, want to be aware of how much distance I've been running. I try and like because I have a fitness tracker on when I've done my running training, and I don't want to. I really limit myself with checking it. I don't want to check it all the time and be like, oh, I've got this much left. Oh, I've got this much left. Because that seems to make it feels like it's taking longer as well. But
yeah.
So yeah, basically, long story short, I'm glad I don't have to do that again. And now and for the rest of this week, and the rest of next week, I'm being fat again. Yay! I'm giving myself a bit of a break because I'm going to London next weekend as well. But when I get back from London, I'm going to sign up to the boxing gym again, and I'm not going to do running to keep healthy. I'm going to do boxing instead because I got to do something to make myself not die of a heart attack, and I don't want it to be running. I don't like running. But when we were done with it, and we were in the car going back, both the friends we did it with were like, oh, should we sign up next year? And there was a really awkward pause of me and Jasmine like thinking, fuck that. And I said, I don't know, man. We'll have to see. I'm not committing to anything now. We'll have to see how fit I am in like 6 months' time or something like that. Because if I'm as fit as I am now, I don't want to do it again. But because I'm really planning on signing up to the boxing gym again. So if that makes me a lot fitter, which in theory it should do, having going to that regularly, and I lose like a good chunk of weight, I might find it relatively easy again. So I might be all right with doing it again. But as of now, I'm not interested because fuck running, I hate it. So anyway, I think for me, what out of those that I've mentioned then. Obviously, like you can see the obstacles. Which looks like the best, like the one you'd enjoy the most, and then the one you'd enjoy the least out of those obstacles I've mentioned?
I think the human barbecue one actually doesn't look too bad because you are just jumping straight over that fire, aren't you? I thought you'd be running over like hot coals.
No, it's that one was fun. I liked that one, and it was reasonably early on, so we were relatively fresh as well.
I'd say probably the slide. I reckon I could even get a bit of a kick out of the whole muddy water shooting up my cock angle of it.
Yeah. The best wise, the human barbecue was pretty fun. The plunge pool was surprisingly nice as like a whoa to get you going at the start of it.
Yeah.
The high jump one, jumping into the water, was pretty fun as well. I liked that one. Jailbreak was one of the better ones because of the nice relaxing bit. But I think slides are slide. People like pay to have fun on those things. I think slides gotta take the best one if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. What about worst? What would you say is the worst?
The worst one, I don't know. I honestly think the worst thing for me that you said is just running. just all that running. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, the running, it doesn't feel as bad when you've got the obstacles and you're doing it with friends. Yeah. It honestly, the running bit of it didn't feel that bad. I think out of all of it, what do you think about the like barbed wire one?
I don't actually mind. I say I don't mind it as if I was the one doing it, but I'm not too bothered about that one, to be honest with you, because it's like it's over your head, and
but it's the rocks on the floor. Like, the floor was basically made of stones, like pointy stones. Yeah. They were just like hidden by mud. Like you were basically just whacking your knees on pointy stones underneath barbed wire. That one was one of the worst ones. But for me, the worst one for sure was the tubes. The tubes was the worst one for me. I hated it. I hated it so much. I said when I came out of it, there's like, obviously I've done physical challenges that I've done since we started this podcast was the boxing that I did and the and this, and I'd rather fight 10 times in a row than go through one of those fucking tubes again. I just hate it. It's awful. Yeah. So yeah. That's that. That's been my Total Warrior 12-kilometer obstacle course adventure. It was fun, I guess. Weird, kind of not. It kind of was and kind of wasn't in some ways, and in some others. It was definitely an experience, and I always like experiences and stories. So I'm definitely, I can say for sure I'm glad I've done it. Yeah. I don't think I'll do it again. And we did have a nice time in the pub afterwards. And Good. Me and Dan had a picture of us both looking like fellas with our pints. Yes. So that's the podcast. Woo! Nice tweet at Tweets Badly and let me know if you've done any physical challenges. Let me know which obstacle course you would like to try. And let me know if there's anything that we should do. Like, is there anything me and Judd could go out and do on a weekend, and then we could, talk about? Might be fun. We're not running out of ideas or anything.
I tell you what. Why don't you guys go out and fucking do something? Yeah. And then come back and tell us how it's been.
Yeah. Yeah, you fucking go out and do something, and then tweet at Tweets Badly and tell us what you've done, for fuck's sake. In fact, join the stream live.
We've been having.
Yeah, we've been talking to you for fucking 189 episodes, and you barely said anything.
Wake up! Have you been awake this whole time? We're talking to you.
Yeah, join us. Kick.com/streamsbadly or streamsbadly on YouTube. Go out and do something. Tell us about it, and then we can make fun of you for doing something, you fucking loser. Right. Bye. That's it. I'm just going to say bye.
Bye.
Bye.